Live commentaries. My name is Paul Sentindovi.
Good afternoon. I'm Claudette Sindaza-Jonga, and later on we'll be joined by our sign language interpreters, that's Chola Kauma and Jason Manda.
Let's quickly shift our attention and look at a business that was considered on the floor of the House, which was the 26th day in the month of October. The business did begin by Madam Speaker making an announcement, and she did remind the House that on Tuesday, 25th October 2022, she informed the House that a workshop organized by the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Development would take place on Thursday, 27th October 2022 from 08:30 to 12:30 hours in the amphitheater at the main buildings.
And Madam First Deputy Speaker informed the House that the workshop had been postponed to Tuesday, 15th November 2022, and the time and venue remains the same. And she did encourage members to attend the important program on a voluntary basis. After that, Madam Speaker went on to make a ruling. She reminded the House that on Thursday, 29 September 2022, when the House was considering the Ministerial statement on the Farmer Input Support Program FISIP for the 2022-2023 farming season, and Honorable R.M. Piri, Minister of Agriculture, was on the floor. Mr. Araj Totela, Member of Parliament for Pambashe, raised on a point of order as to whether the Honorable Minister of Agriculture was in order to mislead the nation by alleging that infighting among unsuccessful bidders was the cause of the cancellation of a tender.
And Madam Speaker did inform the House that the point of order by Mr. Arach Totela, MP, was inviting the Honourable Madam Speaker to delve into Section 54 to 60 of the Public Procurement Act in order to establish whether or not infighting was a reason for a tender to be cancelled. Madam First Deputy Speaker declined the invitation, stating that the interpretation of the law was a preserve of the courts of law. She explained that it was for that reason that Standing Order 132(1)E of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2021, did not permit members to raise a point of order pertaining to a general interpretation of the law.
And so in view of the above, Madam First Deputy Speaker dismissed the point of order as it was inviting the Speaker to interpret provisions of the Public Procurement Act.
There was a consideration of a ministerial statement, Claudette, and this ministerial statement was rendered on the floor of the House by the Minister of Energy, and it was on the intermittent electricity supply in Chama district, which affected the smooth operations of the district hospital and water supply installations, among others, following a directive by Madam First Deputy Speaker on a matter of urgent public importance raised by Mr. Yotam Tachalo, Chama North Member of Parliament, on Friday, 21st October 2022. And the Minister briefed the House on the measures being taken to improve electricity supply in the district.
After consideration of that ministerial statement, the House considered questions for oral answer number 78 and 79, understanding order number 74, and there was consideration of the Anti-Human Trafficking Bill, National Assembly Bill number 16 of 2022. It was read a second time and committed to the Committee of the whole House, and committee is expected to report back to the House regarding its report on the 1st of November 2022.
There was a consideration of the motion of supply, and that's the motion of 30th September 2022, and the move of this motion is the Minister of Finance. And after adjournment, the question of adjournment that the House do now adjourn, and the Vice President did move that motion, and there was a subject for debate, which established distribution points in each ward for beneficiaries under the Farmer Input Support Programs to access farming inputs. And the mover of this motion of adjournment is Chinsali Member of Parliament, Mr. Kalalwe Mukosa.
And the House adjourned accordingly at 18:50 hours. That's the business that was considered yesterday. Join us as we look at today's business.
Well, thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. We now shift our attention and look at business that is yet to be considered on the floor of the House. We do have one question for oral answer, and this question will come from Magoye, Member of Parliament, Mr. Malambo, and is directed to the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry. And let's just look at the details of the question, Claudette.
Absolutely. Mr. Malambo wants to find out whether the government has any plans to facilitate the construction of a milling plant in Magoye parliamentary constituency.
And the B part of the question, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and if there are no such plans, why?
And in the last part of the questions, well, I think you've read that part. If there are no such plans, why? So that's the only question for oral answer, understanding order number 74 that is going to be considered on the floor of the House. And thereafter, there's going to be resumption of debate on the motion of supply that was moved by Finance and National Planning Minister, Dr. Stumbe Sokotwali.
And at the moment, we've seen quite a number of cabinet members or cabinet ministers responding and also contributing to the debate on the budget speech. And yesterday, quite a number of cabinet ministers did participate in terms of debating. As you can see on your screens, that's Madam First Deputy Speaker making way to the chamber, and that signifies the commencement of today's business. Keep watching Parliament Television.
Madam Speaker.
And dancing of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for the right. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those two men. Let us, all her people, join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Green and we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. May the honorable members desiring to take their seats come to the table. Mr. Bernard Kanengo.
I, Bernard Kanengo, having been elected Member of Parliament for Kavushi, do swear that I will well and truly serve the Republic and the President of Zambia. That I will be faithful, bear true allegiance to the President and the Republic of Zambia. That I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of Zambia as by the law established. And that I will not directly or indirectly reveal or transmit any such information or matter as shall be brought under my consideration or shall be made known to me by reason of my office, except as may be required in the discharge of my duties as such or with the authority of the President. So help me God.
Mr. Charles Ebo Mulenga.
I, Charles Abel Mlenga, having been elected Member of Parliament for Kwacha constituency, do swear that I will well and truly serve the Republic and the President of Zambia, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the President and the Republic of Zambia, that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of Zambia as by law established, and that I will not directly or indirectly reveal or transmit any such information or matter as shall be brought under my consideration or shall be made known to me by reason of my office, except as may be required in the discharge of my duties as such, or with the authority of the President. So help me God.
Thank you. We move on. Matters of urgent public importance. The Honorable Member for Petauke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to raise matter of urgent public importance, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in Petauke, we have got a general hospital which was partially opened. Let me work here. Madam Speaker, I'm asking for protection.
Can we have order in the House so that we allow the Honorable Member for Petauke Central to finish with this matter of urgent public importance? May the Honorable Member continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this matter is directed to the Honorable Minister of Health. In Petauke constituency, we have got a general hospital which is partially open, and it usually cushion the Petauke General Hospital. Madam Speaker, this hospital has got a Toyota Land Cruiser and an ambulance borrowed from other institutions, but at the moment, all these vehicles are down and are not functional. And Madam Speaker, if any emergency, which means they can't refer that patient either to UTH or to Cathedral St. Francis. So due to that, we can even experience, even death rate now will go high because of non-function of the ambulance and the vehicle which they only have. And also the X-ray machine, in case of any accident or anything which is required to use X-ray machine, the X-ray machine is not working, Madam Speaker. I'm asking the good people of Petauke, asking for your intervention, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter of urgent public importance is directed to the Minister of Agriculture. Madam Speaker, farming or agriculture in my constituency is a matter of life and death. Madam Speaker, my constituency is characterized by poor rural connectivity, such that when it rains, some parts of my constituency can become inaccessible. Madam Speaker, is the Minister of Agriculture in order to keep quiet when, as I'm speaking now, there is no single bag of fertilizer that has been received in my district or constituency? People are worried now. Rains have come. What might happen, Madam Speaker, is that fertilizer might not even be delivered to its intended destination in my constituency. Madam Speaker, I seek your serious indulgence on this very important matter from my constituency. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We'll start with the matter that was raised by the Honorable Member for Petauke Central, directed to the Minister of Health, where he said there's a hospital that was opened, and there was a hospital that was built and is partially opened. Then he brought in another issue of two motor vehicles that are not working. That is a Land Cruiser and an ambulance. Again, he went on to say the X-ray machine is not working at the hospital. Honorable Member, I think you are well guided how the matters of urgent public importance should be raised. This should be a single item. But your matter here, the matters that you presented, there are three. So it will be best for you to come up with a question so that all these issues that you've brought out can be attended to by the Honorable Minister of Health. It would also be very important for you to visit the Minister of Health so that you have a discussion with her. I remember, is it 2 days ago, where she openly said members of parliament could also visit her office and discuss certain issues that are urgent so that they can be sorted out at that level. The honorable member for Chadiza has raised a matter directed to the Minister of Agriculture, though again it's like there are two issues here where he said poor rural connectivity, and then he went on to talk about fertilizer, which he says there is no single fertilizer that has been received in his constituency. Again, this is a general status. I don't think there is anywhere where the distribution of fertilizer has started. Therefore, I would urge the honorable member for Chadiza to bring in an urgent question so that this matter can be attended to by the Minister of Agriculture. I thank you. Honorable members have permitted the Minister of Health to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you most sincerely for granting me this opportunity to update the House and the nation at large on the dilapidated hospital in Zambezi district and measures taken to address the issues affecting the hospital. The House may wish to recall that on Friday, the 21st of October 2022, the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker directed that a ministerial statement be issued on the dilapidated hospital in Zambezi district. This directive followed a matter of urgent public importance raised by the Honorable Mr. Kambita, Member of Parliament for Zambezi East Parliamentary Constituency. Madam Speaker, may I begin by giving a brief background of Zambezi District Hospital. Zambezi District Hospital is indeed an old and dilapidated district hospital which was built in the colonial era in 1940. The hospital has no staffing housing and was intended to serve a much smaller population than it is serving today. Zambezi district has not benefited from the infrastructure rehabilitation or construction of a new district hospital. Madam Speaker, the hospital was last assessed in March 2022, and it was found to have vertical cracks arising from the foundation and extending to all major support walls, which included the operating theater. Various stakeholders were engaged to discuss the way forward, and the consensus arrived at was to build a new Zambezi District Hospital, including installation of modern medical equipment. In this regard, the site for the new hospital has been identified under customary land within 6 kilometers from the existing hospital. Secondly, the plans to build a new hospital were captured in the Ministry of Health Infrastructure Operational Plan for 2022, and The construction of the new hospital has been included in the 2022-2024 medium-term expenditure framework. Madam Speaker, in terms of human resource, I wish to inform the House that Zambezi district does not currently have an anesthetist. However, there is a trainee anesthetist who is due to complete training in 2024. Further, another anesthetist has been identified to start training next year, 2023. The House may further wish to note that anesthesia is an in-service training program, and as such, there are no unemployed anesthetists that we could have employed in the just ended recruitment of more than 11,000 healthcare workers. The New Dawn government equitably allocated Zambezi district with 107 new health workers or members of staff. Out of 107, Zambezi District Hospital was allocated 39 new members of staff, broken down as 29 professional staff and 10 general workers. This was done to alleviate the peak pregnancy and ovarian mass. Madam Speaker, Zambezi District has 2 level 1 hospitals, namely Zambezi District Hospital and Chitokoloki Mission Hospital, which is about 52 kilometers away from the district hospital. The Mission Hospital has specialized surgeons and a good operating theater and anesthetists. Therefore, the district hospital do refer patients that require major surgeries and intensive care units to the Mission Hospital. The district hospital has 1 ambulance that is in good condition and 2 utility vehicles. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, allow me to take this opportunity to commend the health workers across the country in general, and in particular the health workers at Zambezi District Hospital, who have continued to provide quality health services to the community despite the state of the hospital caused as a result of many years of negligence by the former government. Madam Speaker, the New Dawn government is committed to providing affordable quality health services at all levels, and in order to take health services as close to the speech for the official opening of the 2nd session of the 13th National Assembly by His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the New Dawn government going forward will not only focus on completion of ongoing projects, but will also embark on construction of additional health facilities, as well as upgrading and modernizing existing ones, including construction of maternity wings at all health centers in Zambia. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement that was given by the Minister of Health. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, the people of Zambezi East would want to know exactly when the groundbreaking ceremony can be done for the hospital that you have indicated that the site has actually been identified. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Early next year, 2023. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Zambezi West.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and through you to the Minister of Health. I would just want to know if the Honorable Minister, if they have done a land assessment at the old hospital, because I believe that there is enough land other than going to construct the a new hospital at a site further. She has stated that it's about 6 kilometers from the central business town. And it's on a traditional land. Considering that there will be challenges to travel that distance, will it be possible that maybe a land assessment is done in the existing premises of the hospital so that that difficulties in traveling can be addressed? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. I think that is an issue for the district to make a final decision on the issue of the site. I would encourage the Member of Parliament to approach the local authorities there, and they can agree, and if it's feasible, I would have no problem. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for the Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and the Honourable Minister, thank you very much for that response. Madam Speaker, I'm concerned from the statement of the Honourable Minister that indeed these Zambezi hospitals are not structure, and it has eventually developed cracks, vertical cracks, starting from the foundation. In civil engineering, madam, that sends a very, very serious signal that the structure is weak and that any time it can collapse if no underpinning is performed urgently. Honorable Minister, what is it that you are doing? Because these are serious indicators that this structure can go down any time. To avoid catastrophe, are you thinking of evacuating or finding an alternative for the patients whilst you are planning to build a new hospital? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't think this crack is a one-year crack. It seems to me it's an old crack. And I think that the engineers in the district and the occupants, that is the management, it is up to them if they think that the structure is such that it will collapse before the new one is constructed. They should have said so. But from what I get, it's just one of those problems that many buildings have now, which buildings are not being rehabilitated. And that's why in this year's budget, Madam Speaker, we have put a fund for rehabilitation, because sometimes a building can have a crack and you are capable of fixing that crack. But in the case of Zambezi, even just the structure is not big enough, it's small. That's why we've just opted for building a complete new modern hospital. But otherwise, a crack can be fixed. So maybe temporarily that crack can be fixed, but like I've said, it's up to the people that are occupying the facility to be able to get Minister of Infrastructure to assess it and see whether they can still be there until next year when the other building will be completed. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chifubu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Chifubu an opportunity to raise their voice on behalf of the people of Zambezi district. Madam Speaker, I want to find out from the Honorable Minister of Health that considering the statement she has given that the equipment the hospital currently has are almost obsolete to the extent that major operations are referred to the next first level mission hospital, Chitokoloki, which is about 52 kilometers away. Now, in view of this distance, is the ministry considering giving them some new equipment at the district hospital, which they can use because patients cannot be transferred to 52 kilometers, a distance of almost from Undola to Chingola. It's quite a long distance. Are you considering giving them the equipment which can be transferred to the new hospital when it is created to avoid patients traveling long distances? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Equipment is being purchased, Madam Speaker, not only for Zambezi, but for many, many hospitals countrywide. Because, Madam Speaker, you note that basically we have inherited a system that is non-existent. Everything is at standstill. That's what we've inherited. And what we're trying to do, Madam Speaker, first of all, and thanks to the President and the Minister of Finance, who have worked hard to turn this economy around in 1 year, so that now we have, at least we have some resources that we can use to buy new equipment. The only delay, Madam Speaker, is the procedures, the procurement procedures, which are taking long. Otherwise, the resources are available, and I think that ZAMSA has advertised already for the procurement of equipment for most of our health facilities countrywide, because the situation, Madam Speaker, is definitely not good countrywide in terms of the health sector, because we inherited a health sector which didn't have equipment which is working. Most of them are, even when it's repaired today, to work for 3 days, it breaks down, sometimes 1 week. And as you know, even human resource, most of the hospitals don't have adequate human resource. Even with the new Dawn government trying hard in year 1 to give us more than, in fact, by the end of this recruitment, we would have recruited more than 13,000 actually, just to try and create some minimal service delivery to our people. So it is a challenge, and I think that it is important that members appreciate where we are coming from and help us. We work together to make things better. I try very hard to stop the blame game. But when you have those that left the mess begin to make public statements as if they've just arrived, then I'm forced, Madam Speaker, to use this forum to speak to them indirectly. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, to give the good people of Petauke this opportunity to ask a follow-up question on behalf of the good people of Zambezi. Honorable Minister of Health, the good people of Zambezi, that's the nearest, this hospital, that's the nearest health facility they can go to. And the Honorable Member of Parliament for Zambezi East, Honorable Kambita, mentioned that even the steering board is dehydrated, can even for any time, and also it has got cracks. And you know where we are going. We are going towards rain season. And during rain season, that's when we usually experience burn of roof and a lot of things because of strong wind. Now, what urgent matters have you put to prevent this disaster to happen in Zambezi? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, from the follow-up questions, I get the feeling that maybe the situation is very bad, that even as we are talking, this hospital will collapse. That's the feeling I'm getting. And if that is the correct position, I want to ask the Member of Parliament to come through the office so that we can really have a deeper discussion and see that we take measures immediately, at least to avert any possible loss of life or something that might happen. Because then they'll say, this matter came. The minister took it very casual. I'm not taking it casual, it's just that I know that a number of structures in this country today are not in good condition and needs repairs, needs a complete building of new ones. But, resources, will speak. But like I said, we do have the resources, and we are moving towards making sure that we build a new hospital. But if the situation is as desperate as I'm hearing from the MP for Petauke, who lives in the east, but somehow at night he flies to Zambezi, so he might have more information. So if the Honorable can please come through on Tuesday, then we look at the matter. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Luena.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister has repeatedly indicated that a lot of hospital infrastructure in the country needs urgent rehabilitation. And she has also indicated that this is due to our culture of poor maintenance when it comes to public infrastructure. My question to the Honorable Minister is this. Given that beyond just inheriting this poorly maintained infrastructure, we have also inherited a situation where maintenance resources, you would find that somebody has carried out maintenance worth 10 million kwacha, but they have just thrown some cement around the building. And yet the bill in the government books is 10 million kwacha. What are we going to do differently to ensure that resources spent on maintaining these buildings matches the value that is both visible as well as increasing the life of the infrastructure going forward as far as procurement and supervision is concerned? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable, for that very important question. Important in the sense that indeed, Zambia in general, we normally are good at building anything, but maintenance seems to be a challenge. And I think what I noticed regarding Ministry of Health is that in the 2021 budget, we noted that there was no resources really worth talking about for maintenance or rehabilitation. And if you recall, Madam Speaker, in the inaugural statement by His Excellency in 2021 of September, is it September, October, when he came to Parliament, he did in that budget indicate that his administration would ensure that we don't just build new things, but we maintain what we have built. And following that presidential statement, you will note that under health in 2021 budget and even 2022, we have made provisions, at least something that is sufficient, of course not to cover the whole country, but a good starting point, whereas it is possible for us. And that's why it is possible for me to say to the minister, to the MP for Zambezi East, that come through, because we do have resources that can be used to do some repairs urgently to avert, any accident. So just to say that resources have been budgeted for, even for 2023 budget, but also to say that this is the reason, Madam Speaker, why His Excellency is insisting that we decentralize a number of these functions. And you will note, Madam Speaker, that for health, he went further, and in the Gazette notice, he has actually already given some of these important functions to local authorities countrywide, so that issues such as the one he's asking can really be effectively dealt with, because it is not possible for Minister of Health to be going around the country every day to check what's happening here, and expect that we are going to fix these things in a short time. But once we fully decentralize to a particular local authority, it will be easy, and the resources are given to them. It will be easy for them to do the rehabilitation, but also it will be easy for them to be able to see that this structure now requires repairs there and then. Madam Speaker, I'll tell you the good news. Only yesterday, I went into Chongwe to commission a new hospital, and next there was a school, the roof had blown off. And they said this school, the secondary school, Katoba Secondary School, the roof has blown off. In the past, we would have to wait for Lusaka for me to come and beg the Minister of Education, because the person at the district would say he has no resources. But now, with the CDF, we have already recommended that the roof sheets must be bought and fixed. So this underscores the importance of decentralizing functions and resources to the district, so that these issues of repairs can be dealt with, disasters can be dealt with at the district level, unless the disaster is very big and it requires the office of the Vice President to come in. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We move on. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 74. The Honorable Member for Magoye, and under prior arrangement, the question will be asked by the Honorable Member for Wengwa. The Honorable Member for Wengwa.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Question number 80.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The question that was asked by the pardon me, Madam Speaker, my voice is not itself. A question that has been asked by the Honorable Member from Agoye to the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry is whether the government has any plans to facilitate the construction of a milling plant in Magoye parliamentary constituency. Madam Speaker, I must make it known from the onset that as member of the cabinet, I will respond to this question, as the authority for this was sitting under cooperatives, which has since moved to the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. But the collaboration between ourselves enables me to respond to the question that was brought to my ministry. B, the question was, if so, when the plans will be implemented. I repeat, A, whether the government has any plans to facilitate the construction of a milling plant in Magoye parliamentary constituency. B, and if so, when the plans will be implemented. C, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, allow me to respond as follows. A, government has plans of facilitating for the construction of milling plants in the provinces, including Magoye constituency, by creating a conducive business environment where the private and public sector players such as Zambia National Service, ZNS, and the Industrial Development Corporation can invest. Further, the ministry is promoting implementation of the Rural Industrialization Strategy and the Local Content Strategy, which promotes value addition to the local endowment resources in their localities. B, the plans, Madam Speaker, will be implemented when the players, that is the ministry responsible for the setting up of the milling plant in the area, conclude or initiate and conclude the feasibility studies which are needed to enable setting up of a milling plant. That is power availability, offtake of raw materials for the plant, and engagement with stakeholders like ZNS and other associated ones. C, the question is automatically, C question automatically falls off following the response I have given above. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Wengwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me just thank the Minister. Minister, thank you very much. You know, Wengwa constituents being a neighboring constituents to Magoye, I think my people will be benefiting. I'm just looking forward to the actualization of the same project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chifubu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, Magoye constituents lie in Southern Province, which is our country's national maize belt. Hence, the demand for the construction of the milling plant there. We appreciate government has acknowledged that they will be able to set up a plant which may sometimes take a bit of time. Being a Minister of Commerce and Industry, do you have some private partners on the list who you may also engage to supplement the government effort to set up this highly demanded facility in Magoye constituency? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much to the honorable member from Chifubu. Madam Speaker, I insist and appreciate the concern that has been raised by the honorable member. Indeed, government is committed to seeing to it that the aspect of industrialization and value addition we continue to talk about is brought closer to areas where people are producing their raw materials. It is for this cause that you have seen through the stakeholders I mentioned, like ZNS, have continued to set up these plants. Like recently, the honorable member, the Minister of Defense, opened a milling plant in Monze, Chongwe, and Impika. And in due time, given the fulfillment of facilities I talked about, will extend our investment in the respective constituencies. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Kawata a chance to ask a question. Your Honor, the Minister of Commerce and Trade, I wanted to find out, since looking at the time frame that government is going to take using the Zambia National Service, I wanted to find out if government is able to offer incentives for the private sector that would want to invest in the milling plant in Southern Province. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Madam Speaker, the recent budget that was presented by the Minister of Finance, which is very consistent with the one that we are still using, provides incentives to the private sector, both local and foreign, to bring in manufacturing equipment, which also includes milling plants at concessional rates for bringing in the country to set up milling plants. So definitely, government has provided incentives for expedition of establishment of such facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. The clerk will now read the order of the day.
Supply motion of 30th September 2022, resumption of debate.
When the House adjourned yesterday, Wednesday, 26th October 2022, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning that the House do now resolve into Committee of Supply on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 1st January 2023 to 31st December 2023, together with the annual borrowing plan presented to the National Assembly in September 2022. Any debate? The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam, I stand here to support the 2023 national budget delivered by Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Situmbeko Msokotwane MP, to this August House. Madam, the budget presented by the Honorable Minister does renew hope for a better Zambia through the revenue and expenditure measures outlined and reinforces our resolve as a political party in government to contribute to the country's growth as well as prosperity. I therefore commend my honorable colleague for delivering such an inspirational and transformative budget address to the nation, anchored on the theme stimulating economic growth for improved livelihoods. This theme is most appropriate, Madam Speaker, as it comes at a time when we are striving to revive our economy for sustainable development and improved service delivery for our people. When we say a new dawn, Madam Speaker, we do not mean a joke. At this point, let me quickly congratulate Honorable Charles Ebo Mulenga, the newly elected Member of Parliament for Kwacha constituency, and also a new colleague, Mr. Bernard Kanengo, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kabushi. Colleagues, welcome to the People's House. Welcome to the Legislative Assembly. And you should not worry about the noises. My mother told me that empty tins make a lot of noise. Madam Speaker, in support of the budget speech.
Order, Honorable Minister. Order, Honorable Minister. Would you please withdraw the word empty tins and replace it
With pleasure,
with a
Madam
word?
Speaker. I withdraw what my mother told me, that empty tins make a lot of noise. Madam Speaker, in support of the budget speech, I take cognizance of the increased allocation in the Constituency Development Fund from 4 billion kwacha to 4.4 billion kwacha. This entails that each constituency will now receive 28.3 million kwacha starting from this next fiscal year 2023. In comparison with the 25.7 million kwacha, Madam Speaker, that was allocated in the last year's budget. This increment goes to show that the government has got an unwavering commitment to the fiscal decentralization and to the enabling of the local communities to fulfill their aspirations through identification and implementation of the projects that address their immediate development needs in more ways than one, Madam Speaker. The additional allocation of the CDF will enhance interventions to provide key economic and social services such as improved water and sanitation in health and education facilities, procurement of school desks, electrification of schools and hospitals, provisions of maternity services at health centers and social growth points, as well as water reticulation and sanitation in markets and other public utilities and areas. Madam Speaker, as a government, we have made ourselves a target, but that by the year end 2024, there should be no one who is going to be delivering children, our women, respectable women, to deliver life in any place that is less than a fully furnished maternity wing. What is better than that, Madam Speaker? And this will be done through the expanded Constituency Development Fund, which is broadened by size and also by extent. Madam Speaker, it is now my plea to honorable members of parliament to follow government policy, because this particular facility was clearly absent in previous governments. Now that the people have been given the mandate to chart their own development trajectories, we think that the barest minimum we can do is to make sure that the rural social growth points are given the attention that they require by making sure that there's running water in all schools, all clinics in the rural areas that are going to be run by solar energy. Madam Speaker, this address, the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning highlighted some proposed structural reforms. These include leveraging on the use of information and communication technologies, ICTs, for improved service delivery, as well as enhancing public financial management. Madam Speaker, these measures have provided opportunities that the ministry that I'm privileged to run intends to harness in many ways, such as leveraging of use of information and communication technology. In line with the budget address, the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning, my ministry will enhance the use of ICT by local authorities for the services they offer. To this end, we will continue to roll out the e-levy collection system in bus stations and markets. This system is expected to enhance revenue collection, which is currently leaking, and management by local authorities. This measure will put local authorities at a path to financial autonomy, thus reducing central government fiscal deficit. Madam Speaker, the rollout of this electronic platform will enhance accountability as well as transparency in public service delivery, human and social development. Madam Speaker, with heightened fiscal and decentralization as reflected in the increased Constituency Development Fund, it is envisaged that the government will make great strides towards human and social development through the creation of local employment opportunities. As highlighted by the Minister in his address, it is envisioned that the graduates from skills colleges who are being sponsored by the component of the Constituency Development Fund would be the ones to be contracted to undertake CDF projects in their capacities, in their areas, as business entrepreneurs rather than as employed people. Madam Speaker, for jobs such as not manufacturing, but building of classroom blocks and teachers' houses, among others, local people will be turned into the local contractors. That is the government's aim. Madam Speaker, local authorities are better placed to provide public services owing to their greater proximity to the people than the central government. For this reason, we are the nucleus of decentralization and devolution agenda. It is therefore gratifying to note that Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning has allocated 1.3 billion kwacha for local government equalization fund to support the operations of the local authorities in delivery of public services. Madam, I would like to, before I conclude, to make a few responses to the comments that were made by colleagues during their time to debate this budget. It is disheartening, it is actually discouraging that the difference at that time, last year, of more than 23 million kwacha that has been allocated to our people through the vehicle of Constituency Development Fund, some negative MPs have decided not to recognize the fact that government has given them enough leverage and also authority to superintend on the aspirations of the people in their localities. This never happened in this country ever before, where the WDCs, the World Development Fund, Madam Speaker, are the sole movers, the prime movers of the development agenda for the locality that they live in. Previously, what used to happen is that the projects were identified from an unstructured point of view, where the Constituency Development Fund Committee were the ones who are doing the appraisal based on what the Member of Parliament or the councillors think. Now we have got a structured way where it is more involving and it's involving more people to decide what they need to do for themselves. Yeah. Madam Speaker, I want to take my hat off for a number of MPs here who have shown, not by word, but by deed and also by revelation, such as the MP for Kanchibia, who is way ahead of most of us in the implementation of the Constituent Development Fund, such as the MP for Kalomo Central, who is way ahead of many. So I ask myself a question. Why are some MPs saying this is not functioning? It means that they are indolent. And indolence is not an insult, Madam Speaker. It simply means that they are absent and lazy. I'm encouraging the MPs to stop complaining because this Constituent Development Fund is real. It is real and is sitting in the constituency.
Order,
Madam, it is
Minister.
also a fact that your government, led by the President,
Minister.
Mr. Hakainde Hichilema.
There is a point of order raised by the Honorable Member for Shiwangandu. What is your point of order, Honorable Member?
Madam Speaker, I am raising on this very important point of order pursuant to Standing Orders 65. Madam Speaker, this is a honorable House, and you have guided many times that we must not debate ourselves, and we must not
use language that is disrespectful to each other. Is the honorable member to brand, in order to brand all of us seated here, both on your right and left, after singling out only 2 honorable members of parliament, is implying that all the rest of the honorable members here are lazy, including himself, maybe, because out of the 2, he has only mentioned 2. Is it in order, Madam Speaker, to, and that's also Standing Orders 58, Madam Speaker, and this talks to the manner of speaking, Madam Speaker. We expect the Honorable Minister to deliver policy statement here, and we expect him to show at least some mutual respect to all of us, because we are honorable representatives of our people. Is it in order, Madam Speaker, to brand us, all of us, your right, and all of us here, as lazy and then caring members of this august house, when we are trying to work with his ministry in making sure that we take development to our people? I seek your very serious ruling, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. Of course, the presiding officer cannot know at what stage each of the MPs is at with the CDF. Of course, grouping everybody to be lazy won't be fair on those MPs that are already doing something in their constituencies with the CDF. So the Honorable Minister for Local Government was actually out of order to group all the MPs that haven't or are not seen to be doing anything as lazy. So the Honorable Minister of Local Government will withdraw the word lazy and maybe find an appropriate or suitable word to use.
The word I used was indolent, which means lazy. I withdraw it gladly. Madam, I was referring to the MPs who are constantly complaining that the CDF is not working. Only those. And the guilty are afraid. That's what my mother told me. And in ending this debate, I was saying government, your government is way ahead of the MPs because they've deposited all the money that is required per quarter sitting in their accounts. And MPs and their committees are failing to use the money. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Before I make a statement to support the wonderful budget by the Honorable Minister of Finance, the able Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning, I want to congratulate the 2 new members of Parliament who have joined the August House after clobbering those who were competing with us. Madam Speaker, I was part of the campaign team, so and I know what was happening. So congratulations, Honorable Mlenga and Honorable Kanengo. Welcome to the House. From the onset, Madam Speaker, I wish to express my gratitude to you for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the budget speech by the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning, which was presented to the August House on Friday, 30 September 2022. Madam Speaker, allow me to congratulate the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, for ably delivering a very inspiring budget speech under the theme Stimulating Economic Growth for Improved Livelihoods, which gives a lot of optimism to the people of Zambia. Let me reiterate that the budget has given hope to our people, owing, Madam Speaker, to a number of positive developments and pronouncements which will uplift the livelihoods of our people going forward. Some of these progressive developments include the following: economic growth. Zambia's gross domestic product growth projection is anticipated to be at 3%. You realize, Madam Speaker, that when we took over the reins of power, the country was in negative growth. Now the country is on a positive trajectory, meaning that we are on the right path. Madam Speaker, number two, the 2022 budget performance, the overall budget performance in 2022 is expected to be one of the most favorable in many years, as revenues have so far exceeded the target, while expenditures have been contained within the target. Number three, Madam Speaker, the debt position which we found this country actually bleeding, Madam Speaker, it was in distress in as far as debt is concerned. With the able leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, and the able Minister of Finance, we have managed to secure the IMF support program, and Zambia is engaging its creditors to conclude debt restructuring, which will result in debt reducing to affordable levels for our country. And because of that, Madam Speaker, other sectors of the economy will begin to benefit because of the restructuring of the debt. Domestic arrears, Madam Speaker, the stock of government domestic arrears or pending bills decreased by 8.4% to 44.0 billion in June 2022 from the 48.1 billion as at December 2021. The reduction, Madam Speaker, is due to government paying suppliers of goods and services and thus curbing the accumulation of new arrears, thereby addressing impoverishment of our people by doing away with the delays to pay for goods and services provided. Madam Speaker, let me now take this opportunity to highlight some of the progressive pronouncements in the 2023 budget which touch on the resolve by the government of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to reposition the mining sector once again as the hub of the economic transformation agenda under the UPND administration. To stimulate investment in the mining sector and ensure that the country's aspirations that include the attainment of 3 million metric tons of copper per annum in the next now 9 years, the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning has pronounced the following measures. Number one, replacement of the current corporate income tax regime with a friendlier presumptive tax for artisanal and small-scale mining, which are predominantly Zambian wholly owned licenses. Number two, Madam Speaker, reduction of property transfer tax to 7.5% from 10% on mining rights held by exploration companies to encourage mining exploration. And number three, restructuring of the mineral royalty tax with respect to copper, which include reducing the lowest marginal rates to 4% from 5.5%. Madam Speaker, in the past few days, I have received information that the mine in Mukushi, which couldn't begin to operate because of the confusion in the tax policies in the previous government, has announced that you to begin to produce. Madam Speaker, also a mine in Mwekera, which couldn't operate because it was confused with the policies in the mining sector that were changed more than 15, 20 times. Madam Speaker, that mine is saying it will begin now to do exploration because of the policy environment that the new Dawn government has actually created, because of the predictability and the stability of the economic policies that are being propagated by the new Dawn government. These and many other incentives under the 2023 budget, which are part of the ongoing policy, legal and institutional framework which my ministry is undertaking under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, are aimed at enhancing production and consequently contribute in revamping the mining sector in Zambia. Therefore, I wish to assure the people of Zambia that we remain steadfast in revitalizing the mining sector through various interventions, such as reorganizing the artisanal and small-scale mining, which include gold mining, increasing of geological mapping and mineral exploration, increasing participation of Zambians in the mineral value chain, and promoting local content. In view of the above, the following, Madam Speaker, are some of the reforms that are happening in the mining sector. Number one, formation of a mining regulatory commission, which will help, Madam Speaker, in increasing compliance in the mining sector. Number two, formalization of the artisanal and small-scale miners. Number three, formation of the Mining Appeals Tribunal. Number four, reviewing of the Mines and Minerals Development Act number 11 of 2015. And number five, restructuring of mining cadastre system by adopting transparency and accountability mechanisms. It is for this reason that Cabinet recently, Madam Speaker, approved some of the reforms mentioned under the mining sector, including the new National Mineral Resource Development Policy, which my ministry will be launching soon. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me also join other members in congratulating the victory of Honorable Member of Kavuchi, Mr. Bernard Kanengo, and also the Honorable Member for Kwacha, Charles Abel Mlenga. Thank you very much, and you are most welcome to the House. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for according me this opportunity to make a contribution to the 2023 budget address by Honorable Dr. Msokotwani, MP, Minister of Finance and National Planning, delivered to this House on the Friday, 30th September 2022. Allow me also to join other members who have spoken before me to congratulate the Minister on his well-delivered speech to this House. Madam Speaker, the Minister delivered a well-intended speech for this nation. Madam Speaker, as you may be aware, that the negative impact of the global trades could have been worse for this country had it not been for the good people of this country to choose His Excellency, the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Madam Speaker, the New Dawn administration ensured the ever-rising inflation, which His Excellency, the President, was prudent to resource utilization and the inflation was capped. Madam Speaker, it is also promoted economic growth from the lowest levels by providing resources to the actual areas of need through Constituency Development Fund. Both these areas are earmarked for improvement in the 2023 budget as outlined by Honorable Minister. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Finance and National Planning on page 13, the speech stated the importance of agriculture, livestock, and fisheries sector. The minister did state that agriculture, livestock, and fishery subsector remained the main source of livelihood for the majority of our people. He further informed this August House that this sector is not only the largest employer of our population, but also provides strategies to transform the sector and make it a key driver of economic transformation agenda of our country. Madam Speaker, provision of extension services is the surest way to improve productivity in the livestock and fishery sector. In order to enhance extension services delivery to our farmers, my ministry was granted the authority to employ 470 extension officers in 2022. The most critical positions, especially at the provincial and district level, shall be filled. In addition to this, Madam Speaker, this year's provisions, the Minister of Finance also committed to the provision of additional 500 positions in 2023 budget. This will go a long way in supporting our farmers. To augment this support, the sector from the Treasury goes beyond human resource, but also includes extension kits, transport, and accommodation. Madam Speaker, this is a clear manifestation of the New Dawn campaign promise of creating jobs for our youth. I'm sure even the doubting Thomas, Madam Speaker, can now see that we are a serious government when it comes to job creation. Evidence is already there in the education and health sector. And also, Madam Speaker, more recruitments have commenced in the defense and security wings. And before long, you will see the same under fisheries and livestock. Madam Speaker, aquatic and animal health is critical to improve production and productivity of both fisheries and livestock. Animal disease control and prevention is therefore one of the important preoccupations for my ministry. In the regard, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Honorable Minister of Finance for providing additional funding in the 2023 budget towards animal disease control. My ministry will continue implementing preventive measures against disease of national economic importance, management, and public health disease. My ministry will also complete some infrastructure, particularly the regional laboratories, quarantine facilities, and checkpoints of enhancing diagnosis, prevention, and control of diseases. This is very important, Madam Speaker, as we are going to actualize these laboratories, provincial laboratories, to assist our farmers not traveling long distance. Madam Speaker, the provision of earmarked funds for vaccine production by the Minister of Finance shows again the priority which European government places on livestock development. My ministry will therefore upscale vaccine production at Central Veterinary Research Institute to international standards, aimed at reducing prevalence of diseases in the country. Madam Speaker, government is also alive to the fact that the cost of borrowing for agriculture is high and unaffordable to our small-scale farmers. as our farmers are considered to be high risk. This perception by our financial institution has left our farmers vulnerable to financial services as they cannot expand their enterprises. Good ideas are lost due to lack of loans. Honorable Minister of Finance, in his speech, addressed the issue of improving finance opportunities by leveraging on private sector financing. This is critical to the development of entire economy, as private sector driven growth is both sustainable and also frees up resources for social sector support. This is a balanced growth I spoke about earlier. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, may I take this opportunity to wish and refresh members of this august House that the Minister of Finance and National Planning stated that he was a bearer of a message from His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the President of the Republic of Zambia, recommending favorable consideration of this motion. This is a progressive budget as presented by Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning. Therefore, I call for support for all well-meaning citizens. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute and deliver a few comments on the 2023 budget addressed by Honorable Dr. Stombeko Msokotwane, MP, Minister of Finance and National Planning, which he delivered to this nation, National Assembly, on Friday, 30th September, the year 2022. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, allow me to congratulate Dr. Stombeko Msokotwane, MP, Minister of Finance and National Planning, for a well-delivered, excellently articulated, and inspiring 2023 national budget to the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, the need to achieve socio-economic transformation by implementing measures to stimulate growth and ultimately improve the livelihoods of our people was emphasized by both the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, during the occasion of the official opening of the second session of the 13th National Assembly, and Dr. Stombeko Msokotwane himself, MP, Minister of Finance and National Planning, during the 2023 budget presentation. Hence the theme for the 2023 budget reading as stimulating economic growth for the improved livelihoods. In his presentation, the Minister of Finance and National Planning highlighted the policies and strategies that underpin allocation of resources in the 2023 budget. These are prescribed according to the strategic development areas of the 8th National Development Plan, namely economic transformation and job creation, human and social development, environmental sustainability, and good governance. Very important. Madam Speaker, in view of the foregoing and in the quest to curb unemployment, the government plans to recruit 5,000 soldiers across the three services, namely Zambia Army, Zambia Air Force, and Zambia National Service. The ministry also plans to increase the number of Zambia National Service Youth Skills Training Centers for the vulnerable youths in the next years. The underprivileged youths will be trained in life-sustaining skills that include
carpentry, tailoring, plumbing, cookery, auto mechanics, as well as agriculture. This will help reduce unemployment amongst the youth. Madam Speaker, my ministry through Land Development Branch, LDB, under Zambia National Service, and in collaboration with the Ministry of Housing, Infrastructure and Urban Development and the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, will continue to improve infrastructure by maintaining, rehabilitating, and upgrading road infrastructure, water reticulation and haulage, particularly in the rural areas. This will help improve access to rural communities and access to clean and safe water. I wish to inform you that the government has since engaged my ministry to construct the new Kasama airport, which unfortunately our colleagues before were not able to do. Madam Speaker, you know them. Madam Speaker, they are here. Madam Speaker, in contributing to the manufacturing industry for purposes of stimulating growth and achieving value addition, my ministry, through ZAM Capital, will continue with the manufacturing of windmills, hammer mills, still water tanks and still water tank stands, gang nails, aluminum pots and pans, meat processing smokers, and various other agro-processing equipment. Madam Speaker, my ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, shall continue to improve the provision of quality defense health care services. The ministry will ensure that it increases in people accessing defense health care services at minor Soko Military Hospital and the Northern Command Military Hospital. The ministry will also expedite expansion of healthcare infrastructure and continuous training of medical students. Madam Speaker, my ministry shall continue to create a conducive governance environment for a diversified and inclusive economy by improving delivery of defense services. In addition, the ministry commits itself to ensuring that there is sustainable peace and security in both the country and the region. As the President is always saying, instability anywhere is instability everywhere. We all are aware that peace and security is a prerequisite to any social and economic development in any country. This budget, Madam Speaker, recognizes this fundamental principle. My ministry, therefore, renders its support in total. Madam Speaker, before I complete and sit down, it is necessary that I too register my congratulations and appreciation to Mr. Honorable now, Bernard Kanengo, Kabushi constituency, who has been able to remove the bulldozer. We shall nickname you as the new bulldozer. My congratulations also go to Charles Ebo Mlenga, Honorable Member of Kwacha constituency, the new bonanza. Madam Speaker, allow me to thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for granting me this opportunity to contribute to the debate on the 2023 budget, whose theme is stimulating economic growth for improved livelihoods. I would like to commend the Honorable Minister of Finance for a very progressing 2023 national budget, despite the New Dawn government inheriting an economy that was highly indebted with limited physical space. This budget indeed gives hope to the people of Zambia. The speech highlighted a number of factors that have contributed to the slowdown in economic growth, such as lower output in agriculture due to late onset of rain, drought, and flash floods in some parts of the country, as well as weak performance in the construction sector. However, our government will remain focused on delivering the promises that we made to our people. Madam Speaker, I also noted a number of achievements recorded in the various sectors, notably education and health. Allow me to commend my government for fulfilling the promises made of providing free education up to grade 12, recruitment of over 30,000 teachers, provision of bursaries for vulnerable learners through CDF, and recruitment of over 11,000 health workers. This indeed was unprecedented. I also note the commitment by my government to amend the Constituency Development Fund Act to make it more efficient by streamlining the approval processes. This will ensure that projects are commenced and completed on time. The increase in the allocation of 4.4 billion in 2023 is a welcome move. This will help address challenges faced by communities, especially in rural areas, as priority will be improving water supply and sanitation at health and education facilities. Further, electrification of schools and hospitals and provision of maternity services at health centers. Madam Speaker, the health sector does not work in isolation in provision of health services, but depends on other key sectors, among them water and sanitation. It is therefore gratifying to know that government will increase access to clean and safe water and sanitation services by completing construction and rehabilitation of water supply and sanitation facilities in various parts of the country, and an allocation of 2.3 billion has been allocated in 2023. This will ensure that our people have access to clean and safe water, which contributes to the reduction of waterborne diseases. Madam Speaker, I wish to commend my government for increasing the allocation towards dismantling of domestic arrears to 6.8 billion from 3.1 billion in 2022. My ministry will benefit from this measure in that it will be able to settle outstanding debt owed to suppliers of goods and services, especially medicines and medical supplies, which were left by my predecessor and his government. Over time, accumulation of drugs debt have become unbearable. As a result, most suppliers could no longer supply medicines as they needed to be unlocked through debt servicing. The New Dawn government has continued to prioritize health and regarding it as wealthy. Therefore, investing in health of the people will contribute to stimulating growth in the economy. Madam Speaker, government has continued to prioritize the health sector in resource allocation, as can be seen in the 17.4 billion allocation in the 2023 budget, representing 10.4%. The allocation towards procurement of drugs and medical supplies have also been increased further from 3.4 billion this year to 4.6 billion in 2023. This is aimed at ensuring availability of the much-needed medicines and medical supplies in our health facilities. Further, it is government's aspiration to ensure that all health facilities are manned by qualified health personnel, and therefore a provision of 307.5 million kwacha for recruitment of an extra 3,000 personnel in 2023 will indeed contribute to provision of quality health services to our people. Madam Speaker, most of our health facilities have obsolete or non-functional medical equipment, making it a challenge to effectively manage health conditions. My government has in the 2023 budget provided 900 million for procurement of medical equipment for health facilities. This will go a long way in equipping and re-equipping our health facilities. Madam Speaker, I'd like to take this opportunity to assure the August House that the New Dawn government remains committed to ensuring that all Zambian citizens are accorded the opportunity to access quality health care as close to the family as possible. My government will continue to recognize the importance of key determinants of health in addressing health problems and achieving better health outcomes. These include health nutrition practices, safe water, sanitation, better housing, and improved literacy. This therefore calls for a multi-sectorial approach with all relevant stakeholders. Madam Speaker, in 2023, we will be implementing the decentralization policy regarding the health sector, and to this effect, we have also made that provision so that we will do it in a phased approach, and few identified or selected districts will be targeted. It is hoped that we will learn experiences from the implementation of the few districts and improve on the same. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Provincial Minister for Copper Belt.
Madam Speaker, thank you for allowing me to add my voice on behalf of the people of Copperbelt Province to the budget speech presented to this House on 30th September 2022 by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Stumbeko Msokotwane, MP. Madam Speaker, it's a known fact that not long ago, this country was known for negative narratives, such as the huge domestic and foreign debt, narratives like worst performing currency in the world, rising inflation, stagnation of economic growth, political violence, breakdown in the rule of law, cadalism, things like gassing, until the New Dawn government came in. With the coming of New Dawn government, our country has now regained respect, hope, and admiration among other nations of the world for the strong efforts we are making to improve the economy and the livelihood of our people. Madam Speaker, as my colleague, the Honorable Minister of Finance, ably put it, the UPND government has laid a firm foundation for restoring debt sustainability, economic transformation, and job creation. The stability of the exchange rates of our currency has been restored. In addition, inflation has been reduced, and now the budget has credibility. In simple terms, we have achieved fiscal discipline. The policies and strategies for 2023 as presented in the budget speech clearly will increase even further the expenditure on social services for our people. Madam Speaker, the people of Copperbelt Province are very happy with the policy pronouncements contained in the budget speech, which we are convinced shall be implemented to the latter. And the following are some of the highlights. First and foremost, the education sector has seen and will continue to see tremendous development with the 23.2 billion or 13.9% of the 2023 total budget. As the House is aware, the new Dawn administration recruited 30,496 teachers countrywide this year. This means that the teacher-pupil ratio has significantly reduced, thereby improving the quality of education by enhancing the quality of interaction between teachers and learners. This will further improve with the planned employment of 4,500 additional teachers provided for in the 2023 budget. As if this is not enough, the 2023 budget, just like this year's, will continue to facilitate the provision of free education up to grade 12. This non-discriminatory approach will ensure access to education by learners both in rural and urban areas equally. The planned completion of 115 schools that were incompleted by the previous regime, in addition to the construction of 120 new secondary schools countrywide, earmarked for construction with budgetary support from the World Bank in 2023, will increase access to education in all the 10 districts of my province. Madam Speaker, our children in colleges and universities, due to the abolishment of meal allowances by the previous government, experienced serious challenges that affected their education. Some, in certain cases, unfortunately engaged in negative social vices to earn some income to enable them survive. Thankfully, through the efforts of His Excellency, the President, meal allowance has been provided for in the 2023 budget. I wish to report to the House that students from colleges and universities in the province, as well as their parents and guardians, are extremely delighted and personally expressed their gratitude recently when His Excellency visited our province last week. All members of Parliament, Madam Speaker, we cannot take the peace and security of our nation for granted. This is particularly the case for Copper Belt Province, which has a large international boundary. For this reason, we commend His Excellency President Ichilema for facilitating the recruitment of defense and security personnel in order to enhance public order and safety. Madam Speaker, I wish to support the 2023 budget as it will promote public order and safety through the allocation of 5.2 billion or 3.1% of the budget for operations, construction and rehabilitation of infrastructure, as well as recruitment of 2,000 police officers. Madam Speaker, the people of Copper Belt Province have since time immemorial depended on the mining sector, and it continues to be a major drive of the economy. However, this sector was a victim of poor management by the previous regime. I'm happy, however, that to achieve this, His Excellency, the President's vision of producing 3 million metric tons annually, we are working to urgently resolve the challenges at Konkola and Mopani copper mines. The province is also happy that government will continue to empower Zambians with mining licenses, create off-take market opportunities, and streamline the taxation system. Government will also license buyers of gold and other precious minerals so that the trade is formalized. Madam Speaker, the transport and logistics sector requires a lot of work. The Copper Belt Province appreciates the proposal in the 2023 national budget to undertake the construction of roads with good traffic volumes using the public-private partnership mode, making it possible for the private sector to fund the roads and then later recover their money back through the toll fees. Madam Speaker, Copper Belt Province stands to greatly benefit from this novel initiative by the new Dawn administration, as the Lusaka Ndola Dual Carriageway, Chingola Sorwezi, Ndola Mufrila, Chingola Kasumbalesa, Lumwana Kabimba roads are earmarked for construction using model completing with the planned construction and upgrading of infrastructure accessing key border posts like Sakanya, Mokambo, and Kasumbalesa. There will be definitely an improvement in efficiency and reduced time spent at the border. Therefore, and thereby enhancing local and international trade from which Copperbelt province will greatly benefit. The budget, Madam Speaker, the budget for 2022 was very successful and enabled the country greatly. The Copperbelt province in particular to record positive strides in the economic and the social sectors. In recognition of this success, the people of the Copperbelt province have continued supporting the government and the policy of His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia. It is for this reason, therefore, that the people of the Copperbelt voted peacefully in the recent by-elections. The result was that UPND won the election and has added 2 new members of parliament to this August House, namely Honorable Charles Mulenga, Member of Parliament for Kwacha, and Honorable Bernard Kanengo, Member of Parliament for Kavushi constituencies, respect.
Okay. Order, Honorable Minister.
Effectively contribute to the welfare of the
Order,
people
Honorable
that
Minister.
they represent.
Please, when the presiding officer is shouting for order, the person on the floor should sit down. So the Honorable Minister actually did not hear. I don't know whether you heard me, because there was too much noise in the house. There was too much noise in the house. Honorable members, let's not debate while seated. And let's maintain silence in the house. The people who are listening won't be able to get what the person on the floor is debating. So can we maintain order in the house? The Honorable, the Provincial Minister for Eastern Province. The Honorable Minister for Eastern Province.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Am I audible enough?
You are audible. You can go ahead.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to debate on the 2023 budget on behalf of the good people of Eastern Province. Madam Speaker, we are happy as the people of Eastern Province with the 2023 budget as it is responding to our needs. Indeed, we can see light at the end of the tunnel in the new Dawn government under the leadership of His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the President of the Republic of Zambia. Madam Speaker, Eastern Province, being an agricultural province, we are delighted that government has demonstrated its desire to continue and make FISIP even better by reforming the FISIP in order to include extension service support, irrigation development, access to finance, support to value addition, and storage and logistics, in addition to providing the usual inputs to farmers. This demonstrates the aspiration of the new Dawn government to grow the agriculture sector and alleviate poverty. The people of Eastern Province are happy that this new program will also ensure better targeting and equity in the provision of subsidies and services. Madam Speaker, we are happy that all districts in Eastern Province will benefit from the procurement of 621 motorbikes and the recruitment of 256 extension officers who will be employed this year and 500 additional extension officers who will be recruited next year in 2023. With these measures, most farmers in Eastern Province will be provided with extension services through physical visits. Farmers in the province are very grateful grateful and delighted. Madam Speaker, it is gratifying to hear that government will significantly increase the allocation of resources to the rural electrification program to accelerate the electrification of more rural growth centers countrywide. The people of Katete, Mambwe, Vubwi, among others, being the targeted beneficiaries of the 1,217 targeted rural growth centers, are eagerly waiting for this program, which will change their lives for the better. Madam Speaker, the promised checklists of the new Dawn government on free education, teacher and health worker recruitment has elated the people of Eastern Province. As a province, we benefited 1,127 health workers and 4,202 teachers from this year's recruitment. As if this is not enough, this working government will recruit in addition 3,000 health workers, 4,500 teachers, and 2,000 police officers in 2023. Eastern Province will again get its share of this recruitment, which in turn will benefit our people who never had access to quality health care. Madam Speaker, allow me to thank President Hakainde Hichilema on behalf of the youth of Eastern Province for giving hope to our youth who roamed the streets with very little hope of being permanent government employees. Madam Speaker, government's decision to establish polytechnics to increase access to skills training will positively impact the livelihoods of the youth. Commissioning of Lundazi Trades Training School, for example, will not only increase access to skill development for the youth of Lundazi and the surrounding district, but it will also keep them busy and productive, thus enhance human development. Madam Speaker, in 2023, the UPND government will embark on completing 115 secondary schools with an addition of 120 new secondary schools to be built with support from the World Bank. This should be commended by all well-meaning Zambians, as this will see a lot of stored and uncompleted infrastructure being completed and in turn improve the quality of education to our learners in public school. Madam Speaker, I thank my government for looking at the plight of the students on the loan scheme in the public universities. There are the reintroduction of student meal allowances, which was abolished by the previous regime, will allow our students coming from poor homes of the valleys of Mambwe, Nyimba, to afford basic needs while in school and reduce pressure on the parents. Indeed, the UPND government is a go-getting administration. Madam Speaker, the UPND government will also complete the construction of 36 district hospitals, 16 mini hospitals, and 83 health posts across the country. Eastern Province will also benefit from this allocation, which will accord the people of Lumezi, Chipangali, Kasenengwa, and other districts who currently have to walk long distances to access health services nearby. Madam Speaker, with government scaling up the social cash transfer program by increasing the numbers of beneficiaries from 1,201,000 in 2022 to 1,374,500 in 2023, this means that our people on this program will be able to be socially protected. Madam Speaker, the people of Eastern Province are happy to learn that government intends to address the administration challenges surrounding the Constituency Development Fund, such as highly centralized approval processes required under the law, unfavorable procurement processes, among others, to allow the people make their own decision. This is progressive, and we can assure you, Madam, that with the increased allocation for the Constituency Development Fund in the next year's budget to 28.3 million per constituency, a lot of development will be seen on the ground. Madam Speaker, government in collaboration with cooperating partners in implementing the Zambia Integrated Forest Landscape Project, among other climate change intervention projects in Eastern Province, which is aimed at promoting sustainable management of the environment. We are happy to learn that government will continue to strengthen climate change, mitigation, and adaptation through the development of climate resilient infrastructure, promote sustainable management of the environment, ecosystems, and natural resources. Madam Speaker, allow me also to join my colleagues on the right to congratulate the two newly elected members of parliament that have taken their seats today. That I should say to our colleagues on the left that we are sorry. Nilesa wabasalire te ifwe fish twingashita. Madam, with these few words, I support the presented 2023 budget on behalf of the people of the wise people of Eastern Province. I thank you.
Any further debate? The Honorable Minister of Information and Media. Not in the House. Any further debate? The Honorable Ministers. Do we take? There is no indication from the Honorable Ministers. Unfortunately, today we are not going to get the backbenchers because most of the ministers have debated. Therefore, no one is going to respond if we allow more people from the backbenchers. Her Honor the Vice President, adjournment.
Madam Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Order. Can we allow Honor the Vice President to proceed?
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House do now adjourn.
The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House is now adjourned.
Good afternoon. You're tuned in to Parliament Television.